Welcome to Extemp Day 6. So by this point, you've been through several Give Me a Hand speeches, and I want you to understand that Extemp speeches are just that. They're Give Me a Hand speeches. They're no more complicated than that. They have that same structure. Introduction, body, 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 conclusion. I want to think about those body paragraphs. That's what we would call them in an essay. I want you to start thinking of them as areas of analysis and just start referring to them in your speech that way. So you may say something like, now let's move on to my second area of analysis, or something like that as a transitional word. But anyway, the point is, Give Me a Hand speeches and Extemp speeches, exactly the same thing. Today I want to talk about notes. OSSAA says that you can take in a note card or a piece of paper, anything that you write an outline on. You have 150 words to work with. Numbers, symbols, and things like that also count as words. So if you use a dash, some coaches or judges will consider that a word. It's a little bit of a gray area, but I want you to start using notes as you prepare these speeches, and I want you to start speaking from these notes. Eventually, we'll want to get away from using the notes when we give our speeches, but for now, I definitely want you to keep that with you. But I also don't want them to have more than 50 words on the notes. Let's say you have an article from the New York Times. Instead of writing on your notes New York Times, just put NYT as one word, so instead of 3 words, that's 1 word. Today, you're going to do an actual honest-to-goodness Extemp speech. You'll go draw 5 questions, you'll pick 1 question, and then you'll set the timer on your phone for 30 minutes. You have 30 minutes to do the following, and do it in this order. Step 1, Google the question. See what you can find, read an article. That's it, read an article. At the end of that, you want to put the speech together. What are 3 things you can take from that article? And then I want you to quote from that article in each of your 3 areas, or at least 2 of your areas. You don't need more than 1 article, just do it that way. So you set your timer for 30 minutes. You answer the question, you Google the question, you answer the question and create that outline. Don't worry about the introduction until the end. But let's talk about introductions. So the introduction is something that you might be able to think about as you walk from the Extemp draw to your room. By the way, you can't leave the Extemp draw until the person running it lets you leave the Extemp draw so that you're not cheating, right? You have to go straight to your room and give your speech. Here's the thing about introductions. They can be simple stories that just illustrate a basic point. Let's say you have a question where you're going to talk about Republicans and Democrats needing to work together. The speech is about needing to work together, right? Forget politics or the specifics of the speech. You just need a general introduction that will work for that theme, working together. So you can make one up about your history. Growing up, I had to share a room with my brother. Now, you may not have a brother. You could use anything, right? Once a friend came over for a sleepover, but whatever it is. So I grew up having to share a room with my brother, and that was great, except we didn't always get along. And sometimes I wouldn't want him to play with my toys and he wouldn't want me to play with his toys, and so we'd get into a fight. And so my mom one day walked in with duct tape and drew a line with duct tape down the center of our room so that neither of us could cross it, and if we did, we got in trouble. But what that meant was everything I wanted to play with that was on his side of the room was off limits to me. So we had to learn to work together. That's simple, right? And then you transition from that story to your question, and you just do that by saying, and that leads me to my question: can the Republicans and Democrats work together in this Congress? And then you use all of the resources you found during your 30 minutes and you give that speech. So don't make it harder than it is. It's very simple. Keep the intro simple. So at this point, you're going to go draw 5 questions, take 30 minutes to come up with your speech, then give your speech. You can start working on your second event during the second half of the hour today, but before that, you have to go through the entire Extemp speech process. Don't stop the 30 minutes early, even if you think you're done. Stand up and practice your speech, and then when your alarm goes off, give the best speech that you can to a wall. I do want somebody to video it, and I want you to share it with me so that I can, give you points. All right, 1, 2, 3, go.